Keep a fire burning red in a Joshua representing of a comes hard here. You know. Big up Kidaki, Buxton massive. Hey Babylon boy, you go on like come son. Red.
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money never, money never, money never, money never, money never, money. Now know what you can have in money. Money never, money never, money never, money never, money never, money. You can keep, you can have in money. When you've been up for a bum, in a biz there'll be money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a biz there'll be money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money never, money never, money, money never, money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a kill a piece. A 2 pound note and a kill a piece. A 2 pound note and a kill a piece. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. I know what you can have in money. Oh, Joseph.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in the Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Comes TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting oil money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see. Sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, which has ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, fooling the people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. adaptation. You are a part of the cycle. I say, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, they got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam, Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London, Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews, big up Paslow Port People Governor, Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson, Hampton Green and Winston Jordan, and yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time, the people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
Hey fans, it's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton. Dance to the magical songs of yesteryear by popular DJs and Camps Audio. Admission is free. Come out, let's make memories at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton North.
Comes out your son. You burn the swine when I want you shine. The tree of life, them I want you climb, cause them art not kind. Comes, I say them art not kind. Buxton Massive, Kidaki, Red Hat.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop, located in the East Ramveld Market Meat Section. Call us on 609-7168, 641-4494. Ask for Rastaman. T&W Harris Butcher Shop for the best in fresh cut meats and lots more. Buenos dias. What Haile Rastafari, Haile them. Namaste. Morning, neighbor, morning. Wodio. Wodio. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. It is 7 hours 33 on the 17th day of May in the year 2024. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. It's Free Talk Friday. So what shall we do? Shall we open up the lines like no? Nah. How have you been? How was yesterday? How did you pass your yesterday? Yesterday there was some rains, right? Yeah. It was a rainy Thursday. How did you pass your Thursday? How did you pass your Thursday night? What happened last night? And by say when rain fall, all kinds of things has happened. Things that never happen when sun is shine, just happen when rain fall. As we grew up hearing, the weather yesterday was for young ducks and experienced pigs. I don't know exactly what that means, or maybe you can interpret it for yourself. But yes, yesterday was cool and nice. I hope you achieved a lot. I hope you you feel good about your achievements. Now, I hope this morning you feel like, hey, it's absolutely necessary that we get rid of the PPP, because they're doing, every day they're doing a little worse, a little worse, a little worse every day. They're doing a little worse for our children and people. Good. I want to start this program on a positive. I want to show you what good governance or good intent in government means, right? Usually when you hear about Africa here, all the African leaders are corrupt, all of the African leaders are self-serving, all of the African leaders are nothing but scum, right? When you hear about Africa, you hear, at least in the last 2 years or so, every time morning there's a coup to remove a quote-unquote dictator, to remove somebody that is not governing in the interest of the people. And the prediction usually is that that person was overthrown, the predecessor will go there and be worse, because they overthrew them, because they want power for themselves too. Well, here is a fine example, right? Here is a fine example of taking actions to bring better to your people. I want you to look at it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Intervlog. I say this is Intervlog, and today we are in Burkina Faso. We are in Burkina Faso because there is one important development going on in Burkina Faso right now as I'm talking to you, and this development is unbelievable. I have never seen anything like this happening in Africa, but it is happening right under our nose. This development going on in Burkina Faso is making me to be happy. This is the first time I am being very happy for a president in Africa. And that president is Captain Ibrahim Traoré. What Captain Ibrahim Traoré did is unbelievable. For some of you who don't know about Ibrahim Traoré took over not up to 3 years and became the Burkina Faso's leader. Since then, he has been loved by many people in Burkina Faso, also many people in Africa. But this his love, which he got from people, did not got into his head, because he knew his target. His target is to improve development, employment, agriculture in Burkina Faso. And the way he did it is unbelievable. What you are looking at is 400 tractors, 239 tillers. The tillers, for some of you who do not know what it is a tractor that you can ride manually, like a wheelbarrow. And also motor pump, which is water pump. This is for irrigation. This money, he's supposed to have used it to buy cars, because presently, he is driving Land Rover Defender, 2001 model, which is costing about $12,000. Decided not to change that vehicle. Anywhere he goes, he use it. Instead of to change cars, Africa's leader have decided to go in to make a nice farming with the little money they have. And what you are seeing is unbelievable. It is the first time in Africa that a president said no for enjoyment, but decided to go for agriculture, which will create employment and produce food for the people. I have always said this time without a number. Africa is poor because nobody wants to go to farm. Immediately, a president enter into office, the first thing he will do is to change his vehicle. Some will go and buy the most expensive Toyota, a SUV that cost about $200,000. Others will go and steal their money, convert it into dollars, hid it into their bedroom. A lot will send their money into international banks, leaving large, traveling, going up and down. To show you the leaders you need in Africa, don't ever go and vote for any leader who is only thinking about expensive car. Those expensive cars they are driving is what is soaking Africa down. Some president in Africa has 20 vehicles for escort. Each of them is bloodproof. Each of them costs about 200,000 United States dollar. How do you improve? You have already used the belongs to your country for yourself. Where are you going to get money for agriculture? And this is the reason many people are not focusing into agriculture anymore. Because things have changed. Agriculture today is under mechanization. You cannot cultivate yam or cultivate cassava the way we used to cultivate in the past. If you want to be a farmer now, you have to go into mechanized farming, meaning buying tractors, procuring different type of machines, facing agriculture. In Africa, there are land everywhere. In Burkina Faso, there is land everywhere. In many, many places, empty land, nobody is using it. Everybody's mind is how to change his car. Look at Burkina Faso's president. The car he is driving was made in 2001. The current price today as secondhand is $12,000. A president of a country. And he thinks about his country using the little money they have for what? For future purposes. He knows Burkina Faso has a land, and then he focused there. 400 tractors everywhere. 400 tractors, 239 tillers, and 710 motor pumps, and were made available to rural stakeholders to boost agricultural production. In addition, 714 motorcycles were acquired for the benefit of agricultural agents. The government will also support producers with consisting of, among other things, 10,000 tons of fish feed, 68,964 tons of fertilizers, 10,000 liters of phytosanitary products, 18,000 tons of plant seeds, 2,300 tons of seeds, fodder, and 10,000 tons of concentrated feed. At a cost of more than 78 billion FCFA, which is 28 million US dollars. The acquisition of this agro-pastoral equipment and inputs reflects the transitional government's desire to support producers as part of the offensive. Agro-pastoral fisheries and the Presidential Initiative for Agricultural Production 2023-2024. This is unbelievable. This is for leaders that think. And this is the reason I say my channel will always be for people who know what is right. I can never promote people who spend their money for expensive vehicle, or spend the money of his country or of his state or his local government lavishly. It is getting too much, and Africa have been suffering for a long why? Because the leaders they are electing are actually the ones that are socking their money.
What else you want to see? $28 million worth of investment in his country's agricultural sector. A man who the world will speak to chant down, as I like to say, chant down, because he was the head of a coup d'etat to remove bad governance. Now, everybody who partakes in a coup has wicked intentions of become another dictator. And this is a young man. Don't think it's an old man, you know. You ain't old and gray like me. It's a young man. Some people in political circles and said he's a little boy. But he has a vision for his country. And so instead of buying a Prado, like our political people in office did when they got power, despite the country, as Jagan used to say, the country was a donkey cart economy. But they were buying fast cars. They were buying Prados. And they still are buying Prados now, even they get more money now. Good? This is when you think about your people. But the government that we have, at least the current administration, they ain't thinking about those people. They're thinking about themselves. And some people look like them. This is similar to what David Granger government did on a smaller scale. David Granger government, through the RAID project, Rural Agricultural Infrastructure Development Project, bought tractors and plows, same as tillers, but not the handheld tillers. The plows were to be attached to the tractor. He bought tractors and plows, at least for 4 communities, I think, in this country, to reactivate, re-energize their agricultural productivity. Ask the PPP what happened to the RAID project. Ask the PPP what happened to the tractors and plows that were bought for those communities. I can tell you certainly the one that was at Buxton disappeared. And Buxton people didn't thief it. That we like set up. Right? That's the reality. These are fine examples of what governments should do for their people. But on the contrary, when you look at government in Guyana, especially when it is the PPP in the office. We see quite the opposite. We see them sabotaging agricultural production like they are doing in Mocha. Right now, they're holding on to the land leases in Mocha. Right now, they are suspending the land leases in Mocha. Right now, they're refusing to process applications to land leases in Mocha. The residents of Mocha, farmers from Mocha, can tell you that their drainage and irrigation have been compromised since the PPP went back into office, and so that has affected their productivity and so on. I'm only using Mocha as one prime example. But imagine that happening across the country. Right in Buxton. Buxton is another community that benefited from the RAID project, or I say should have benefited extensively from the RAID project. Go and ask the farmers what is happening at the back of Buxton there. Except for this rain which has fallen recently, the back there was as dry as pitch, simply because water was not coming into the area because of several reasons. Among it, the failure of the authorities to maintain the drainage and irrigation canals at the top end of Buxton where the water comes in, maybe from the Conservancy or there. That's not what good governments do, especially when governments are talking about food security and what was the other word? Anyhow, food security, food production and security. Right? That's a good example of what black role models are. That's a good example of what governments should be. But I started talking to you yesterday about the wickedness of the PPP government to the people at Success. The wickedness of the PPP government to the people at Success. So let's talk about that. We might have an extended program today. I'm going to give you a little more minutes. When I went to Success, those of you who saw the live, saw the things I highlighted. I'm going to recap them quickly for you. First and foremost, when I went to Success, I learned that the people who were affected are people who were living to the front of Success, where they had that fallout with government over who was squatting and who wasn't squatting, and squatting land, and squatting is illegal and all that. They were forced at the hand of the government to remove from there because the government wanted it for development of high income and middle income house lots. So if you're not a high income person or middle income person, we will dash you at the back. Right? So they had to be dashed at the back. But they couldn't just be dashed at the back. They had to pay the government in most instances, as I learned, a minimum of $250,000 for a house lot at the back there. Right? Now, having paid the $250,000 for a house lot, or agreed to pay the $250,000 for a house lot, the next thing they were told, they had 3 days to remove from the front to the back. 3 days, 72 hours to remove from the front to the back. The government, from my understanding, hired a contractor by the name of Omar. It's the only name I heard, Omar. Because in this country, and that is how you know that corruption is widespread in this country. Because a legitimate contractor refuses to tell you his name. A representative of government refuses to tell you his name and portfolio. I learned that a man on the ground there talking on behalf of the Ministry of Housing is a Mr. Aaron. I can't tell you what his first name is. Because when I ask him his name and portfolio, you know, like some children, when you ask them, they're so shy that their answers guttural. It's down in their belly, down in their throat. A big man, Mr. Aaron, couldn't tell me clearly what his name and portfolio are. But I learned that he is Mr. Aaron. Right? Some people say that name is infamous across this country when it comes to dispossession of poor people and land. Nevertheless, So the contractor can't tell me, well, here, I am Omar so-and-so, and my contracting business is XYZ. Mr. Aaron can't say, well, I am XYZ Aaron, and my portfolio is W. No, you gotta, to get that information, you gotta be pulling teeth. And so if you're doing legitimate business, and you're doing good business, you want to put yourself out there. That's the first thing I want to know about the contractor. Contractor should be proud to advertise his business because he's doing a great job. At least he said that. I think he's doing an excellent job. Right? But let's continue to talk about this situation at success. So they had to remove in 72 hours. Now, these are people who were squatting, as the government claims, and their homes were makeshift homes. They knock up a 4x4, they knock up something, a 10x10, they knock up something just to keep themselves out of the weather. And so they're now required to find $250,000, which I guess they did. And they're now required to remove those ramshackles, then make up thing, makeshift homes to the new location. 72 hours you got. And to ensure or to aid you in removing in 72 hours, we, the government, have hired a contractor, Mr. Omar. And Mr. Omar will assist in moving these properties on tractor, based on my understanding. Tractor was the mode of transporting the properties from where they were, the makeshift homes from where they were to the back. Mr. Omar, according to the residents, only has 4 employees along with himself. Right? So the homes, I guess, were transported to where they were. Some people opted to put their homes back on the low levels that they were. They were told by ministry officials they don't want them flat. They want them high off the ground, at least 3 feet. Well, Janice Edmonds is telling me it was $500,000 for the house lots, and it had to be paid in 2 installments. Oh, so it's 2 payments of $250,000. Thank you for that clarification. Right? $500,000 support people who are living in makeshift homes to get house lots. Right? Good. So we're talking. The homes are transported to those locations according to my understanding. They will move there. The people opted to put them low level. The government said they want them at least 3 feet off the ground. And so contractor Omar as with putting them up. You notice, because I examined everything on camera, the bases on which those homes were placed were no more than 4 inches thick. One of the bases I was able to show you was broken in 2, revealing that in those bases, steel was absent, number 1, and stone, or large aggregate as the contractors will call it, stones, were scanting. So in short, those bases were sandcrete. It's sand and cement for the greater part. Very little stone, no steel in the bases. Now, why am I stressing on the bases? The bases are expected to take the pressure from the top of the building, the weight of the building, and displace it. That pressure will come down on the column and it will be displaced by the base. So the wider the base is better. The thicker the base is better. It will withstand more pressure. But you have a 4-inch base with no sand, no steel to hold it together. Because if you have, even BRC, even if it is cracked, it then doesn't separate because there's something holding it together. But in the instance that I show you, nothing is holding it, so it cracks and it breaks in 2. Column bound to fall. Apart from that, The earth on which the column, the base was rested, and we reach the column here, the earth on which the base is rested is topsoil. If you did agriculture, if you did geography, you will know that the topsoil is loose and is susceptible to weathering faster. It's susceptible to displacement faster than any other part of the soil, the subsoil. So what you do in construction usually, you have to remove that topsoil and get to the subsoil to a certain degree of compaction, what they call it, compaction strength, perhaps. Right? So you know it will not be shifting easily. But no, the base is 4 inches, about 4 inches thick, were rested right on the topsoil. Then came the columns. Now I show you column. Usually what you do is you put steel. You're using the column blocks. What you use is steel in the column blocks. And then you solid cast in the column blocks. So despite the fact that the column blocks were once hollow, you now have a solid cast in the middle there to make it firmer, and the steel, right, to add support. You saw, at least from one column that fell and was broken, that there was no steel running through and through, but there was a little protrusion of steel to give the indication that steel is in this thing. Fraud. Through construction. You saw on camera that many of the columns were out of line. They weren't straight. They weren't lining up. Right? Vertically, they were like the Leaning Tower of Pizza. They were scanting. It wasn't straight. And horizontally, they weren't lining up with each other in many instances. Those are things I wanted you to note, and I took my time to pinpoint them to you while I was on site. One resident complained of them using pieces of sticks to level up, pieces of wood and so on to level up. I show you pieces of sticks being used to level up the columns as the blocks were plastered onto each other. They were using sticks to level them. Mortar is supposed to be leveling them in between there. But no, they were using sticks. And so once the weather came and the rain started washing the topsoil, the structures became, where's the word? Unstable, and many of them collapsed. Now, a lot of people are saying it's a natural disaster. The government has no control over weather. Fair enough. The government has no control over weather. But the government had control over the foundation that they put the people's homes on. And so the government's ineptitude, let me call it that, contributed in a large way to the people's makeshift homes falling to the ground and being damaged extensively. Good. That is squarely at the foot of the government. It is they who hired a contractor to do it. It is their contractor who did bad business. Yes, the homes were made makeshift homes. They weren't made of the best quality materials. Maybe they weren't designed in the best possible way because they're makeshift homes, poor people trying to cover their head. And if you got a makeshift home that is transported, the first thing you know, it is going to be weakened from the rigors of transport. The contractor should know that it would be weakened from the rigors of transport. And so the contractor should in the first instance cater that we have to reinforce these homes as we put them on these stilts, so as we put them on these pillars. They weren't reinforced. One woman said her home was moved 3 times. Can you imagine moving a makeshift home, second-rate materials and so on, second-rate construction and so on 3 times. And then they were placed in still on pillars. Now let me talk about placing those homes on pillars. Because of the size of the structures, and because of the quality of the material used to construct the structures, to place them high up is to place them at risk. Because the members weren't large enough for the structure to be heavy enough to withstand the wind that will come at any time. And so it's like placing a matchbox up in the air. The wind is going to blow it away. The wind is going to blow it away. And that is exactly what happened in many instances. Apart from the columns falling apart, because the subsoil, the topsoil shifted out of place. It is obvious that the wind had an impact on some of them, like the young man who said his home was skanking like granite. It was like the Leaning Tower of Pizza. It's obvious that the wind damaged it because it did not have the structural strength to be that high up. And any contractor, any engineer worth this salt would know that. You can't take a matchbox structure and put it high up in the air in the direct path of the wind. It's gonna fall down, just like the wolf off and puff in Red Riding Hood, it's going to fall down. And so here again, no thought or poor thinking on the part of the contractor and the representatives of the government to put those makeshift homes high in the air. So again, the government is responsible in a large way, in a major way, for the disaster that those people suffered in success. Now let me tell you why I am of the opinion that the government is wicked, or the representative is wicked. I don't know the cost. I don't know how much money is being paid to the contractor to move a home. I don't know if it is cost per home, cost per structure. I don't know if it is a lump sum, a big contract, a lump sum contract. But I'm sure that millions of dollars are being paid to the contractor. Now, first and foremost, I'm thinking, let's say millions, the millions of dollars could have been given to the owners of those makeshift homes to move their homes with guidelines. This is what we expect. This is what we expect. This is the financial support we're giving you to move your home from where they are to the new plots of land. This is the timeline you have. And so the community could then come together and say, hey, we're going to do this thing self-help. The government is providing financial support. Let us eliminate the labor cost by working together as a community to move these homes. And so we'll have more money to our disposal to improve on the structures that we are moving. That's the first step for me. We could have done that. A government of concern could have done that. Even if they had hired a contractor to supervise the process, a government of thoughtfulness and care could have done that. That's the first thing why I'm saying they were wicked. The second thing is, you see where these people live. You see that they are living in makeshift homes. You have asked them to pay $250,000 or $500,000 for plots of land which they have done. You're saying to them, you need to move where you are to these plots of land. The government currently has several relief programs, housing relief programs. I know one of them is the steel and cement program. Why not dip into that steel and cement program and say to these people who are going to move their makeshift homes from point A to the new plots, we are going to give you steel and cement support. And so we are in short going to sponsor the foundations for your homes. And not just pillars, but we are going to maybe give everybody a standardized foundation. Why do I think everybody could have been given a standardized foundation? Let's say a standardized foundation for a 2-bedroom home. If everybody gets a standardized foundation for a 2-bedroom home, it means that gradually they can remove themselves out of those makeshift homes and move themselves into 2-bedroom, properly constructed homes. For example, if you give me, or if you give these people a standardized 2-bedroom foundation, contractors, builders will tell you that there's no need for columns on a structure like that. They can build a structure like that with tie blocks, because once the foundation is in place, then they can start laying the blocks on the foundation. Trench foundation, let me call it that. Right? They can lay their blocks there and they can tie them because they're not big, elaborate structures. So instead of having to cast several columns, you do tie blocks. And you can also do what I like to call fake columns. You leave a space between the tie blocks and you slap on 2 wood and you pour concrete with steel in between there to add strength to it. And so you're giving these poor people a start on which they can build to a better future. But no, all you want them to do is move from where they are within 72 hours, and you take millions of dollars, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars, and you give it to one of your contractor friends, and you say you set them up. So they had no thought, number one, for the well-being of people, and number two, for the future growth and development of people. Because if you had only given them a good start in terms of the foundation is important for anything. If you give them a good foundational start, then they had something on which they could have built. But no, they don't deserve it, they're not good enough. And so all of the housing improvement programs that the government had, tap into any of them. They couldn't tap into any of them to give these people some real assistance, right? They couldn't. And so the people are now suffering as a result of natural disaster and man-made disaster in the decisions of the government. Compare this government's behavior to Traore, Burkina Faso. Compare, look at it too, and see where love is in government, where thoughtfulness is in government. And mind you, where they have placed them for this $500,000 house lot or $250,000 house lot, whatever the right price is, there's no proper drainage and irrigation. There's no potable water. There's no electricity, as far as I remember. As a matter of fact, again, there's an arrangement with the contractor to supply water to the area. One black tank water, I understand, is for 2 families. They don't care the size of the families, but 1 for 2. One black tank water is for 2 families. One lady said that she gets half a tank of water for herself, her husband, and 7 children. And while the water is supposed to be going every other day, if they don't pay the contractor for 3 weeks, 3 months, no water goes. And so the people have to fend for themselves in terms of getting water, potable water, and otherwise. So there's a contractual arrangement to transport water into the area. How much more efficient would it have been for Guyana to quickly run water mains into the area to supply water to the people, even at a cost. Yeah, Mike, squatting is illegal according to your people. Squatting is illegal. I don't know why squatting in my own country. My mama dead there, my daddy dead there, my four parents built this place. They made their sacrifices, they paid the price. But for me to get a piece of land, I gotta go through an Eli. And if I occupy it without going through the Eli, I'll say I'm a squatter. But note, Mike, in case you didn't get the memo, the area of success we're talking about is no longer squatter. They're no longer squatting. They were made to pay for those plots of lands through the Ministry of Housing. You know, one of the other things I heard? I didn't get to see the documents, but I'm hoping somebody can send me the document soon enough. That the agreement of sale or the agreement for payment for those lands has on it temporary occupation. So your poor people find $500,000 or $250,000 to occupy these lands, but it is temporary. Why is it temporary? I want to know. I hope Mr. Aaron or Sir Madam Minister Rodriguez can come and explain to us why those people have agreements for the payment for land and it is marked temporary occupation. I would like to know that. If it's temporary, I guess they can move them at will. But why is it temporary? Because one of the big boys' friends might need a particular plot and we're going to move you for full time. You see, people like Mike, when they come here and they talk these things, they just add to my aggravation. Because quite frankly, no Guyanese should have to go down the road of having to squat, as according to y'all, squat on a plot of land. Every Guyanese should be entitled to a plot of land. And even if they have to pay for it, there should be ease of access to it. Foreigners are coming, non-nationals are coming and getting hundreds of acres of land in our country. Acres upon acres of land in our country. And they're getting it with such ease that you think this is a commodity sitting on the shelf of a shop. And once you find the right person to pay, you get it with such ease. But for God's sake, people burn and go hay. They never stringberry hay. The foreparents made all kinds of sacrifices to develop hay. I'm being told that it's squatting. They got to wait for more than 20 years and 30 years to get a basic piece of land measuring 100 by 80. 100 by 80. This is the standard that Guyanese are exposed to in terms of land development and housing. And non-nationals are coming and getting acres upon, as we say, abar, abar. Where are the consciences of these people? Here is Mike again. You certainly don't. I'm ahead of you in this class. Because I just spoke about people going through the channels and having to wait for 20 and 30 years. Can you imagine I applied for a piece of land at age 20. I think the PPP made it 21, age 21. And I waiting for 20 years is 41. I am at when y'all ready for give me a piece of land, assuming I'm going to get it in 20 years. I'm sure people like Mike got access to 10 and 12 and 40 pieces of land. Like the government friends occupy all the low-income house lots and the East Bank there, Providence and so on. They're occupied by friends and cronies of the government. They build structures and them and lock them up, waiting for future development. And you think this is a humane government? Those are some of the things that I point out to you, how wicked, how dirty and stink at heart the people sitting in government are. Mike asking me to answer. My God. Here's a dunce. Mike asking. I don't know what's Flapnu to start with, but why Flapnu didn't give them land in the first 28 years? And then the 5 years of the coalition. Check the history of this country. And you will see, not only did the PNC in 28 years give people land, they develop housing schemes to them. The majority of the housing schemes developed in this country, and housing schemes of note developed in this country with proper infrastructure and long-lasting infrastructure, were done under the PNC government. Go check it, Mike. The North Rhine Belt and the South Rhine Belt and the Festival City and the Melanie Damishana and maybe Wizrock and Retrieve. The PNC and government in the 28 years were developing housing schemes. They weren't just sending people to banded lands, as we like to call them, lands covered in bushes. They were encouraging cooperativism. People were made to join land development co-ops, and they were doing self-help to construct their homes. Currently, your PPP government is de-emphasizing co-ops. They're taking away lands from co-ops. They're threatening to shut down co-ops. They're throwing out the legitimate management of co-ops and replace them with interim management so that they can have control of co-op lands. Polori Joe said in Parliament that they were going to go after the millions or thousands of hundreds of thousands of acres of lands in the names of co-ops. Right now, I can tell you, the people at Enmore, Haslant, and North Co-op, they're up in arms, fighting to keep the lands out of the hands of corrupt friends and cronies of your government, Mike. I can tell you that the Vijalsha Co-op at Melanie lost hundreds of house lots to your government, who stole it from them, bullied them, and took it away from them. And if what is left now, when you go around the Numprel turn, or the Melanie turn as we call it, immediately to your left as you're going around that turn, a large swath of land belonging to the Vijalsha Co-op, which they started developing recently, the government went in and bullied them to stop development. Those are lands, Mike, which were given to co-ops, which were given to citizens through co-op for housing development by the PNC government. Your government is now fighting to take them away from them. Why the coalition didn't give lands to them? Check again. Check again. The coalition was developing housing schemes. They weren't just handing people land, they were developing communities. Go look at the blueprint. Blueprints which were left in office for your government to follow. But instead of following them for holistic development, they want to play politics and do piecemeal development, and they want to be discriminatory and racist. Why do we have so many squatters? Because for the 23 years that the PPP has been in government, they made a mess of housing development in this country. Want me to start by telling you that when a particular gentleman who I mentioned yesterday as being in the dirty trick department of the PPP was Minister of Housing, when the Ministry of Housing was on Home Stretch Avenue, that burned it down? They burnt it down. You check the history of the PPP and check the length of time it takes from application to allocation for house lots. And then you're going to understand why they got so much squatting. Then you will understand why there's so much squatting. And you're making it sound as though it's only one set of people squatting. I dare argue the biggest number of squatters in this country look like you, Mike, or look like your government. Right? So come again. It's 19 minutes past 8 o'clock hour. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. It's the 17th of May. And I'm your host, Kidaki Amsterdam, the Buxtonian. Let me show you more wickedness on part of the government. Mike, that's what we're talking about. Wickedness on your government wickedness. Your government has issued a memorandum. Your caring government has issued a memorandum. Comes from the Ministry of Education. Memorandum. Let me ensure you see it for yourself. You can't make these things up, man. These things are not manufacturable. You don't make these things up. Ministry of Education, Memo 8 of 2024. From Chief Education Officer to Regional Education Officers, Regions 1 through 10, and Principal Education Officer. Subject, end of academic year matters for 2024. Date, 15th May 2024. Given the number of weeks of instructions already lost and the limited number of weeks remaining in the school year, the Ministry of Education has made the following decisions regarding end-of-year annual examinations and other matters for 2024. 1. No public primary or secondary school is to conduct annual examinations in the August term of 2024. 2. All schools are to conduct continuous assessment in the current August term. 3. The end-of-year score for grade 9 should not be the main criterion for streaming students in grade 10. Consideration must be given to the student's choice of stream. Circular 13 of 2023 must be adhered to when streaming of students is done. 4. The National Grade 5 assessment will be administered as usual. This is for your information and immediate action. Yours respectively, Saddam Hussein. For information, Priya Manik Chan, Permanent Secretary, copy to all members of Education Systems Committee. Now let me explain the implications of this memo to you. First and foremost, let me tell you this, that this memo is as a result of the teachers' legitimate strike action and the government's arrogance. The government's insistent that it will not engage with the teachers with their demand for multi-year bargaining. Understand that? So here what? We are prepared as a government to stretch out this process. And we know it is going to be stretched so long that we know that the teachers are not going to go back to the classroom for just now. And so there will be no end of term examinations because teachers are not going to go to administer it. And so we're going to send out this memo. No end of term examinations must be administered. The grade 9 examinations must not be considered or used to consider which stream children are going to be placed in, the learners are going to be placed in for grade 10. Let me tell you the implications of that. These are the implications. The August term examinations, the August term end of year examinations is a promotional examination. It is a promotional examination. You know that at the end of the August term is when children will come home with their reports and say promoted to grade 1, 2, 10, 12, 14, whichever grade they will be promoted to. Or back in the day when I was at school, it might have marked repeat. Child to repeat current grade. Child to repeat current grade. Or child promoted to new grade. So it's the promotional exam. And so Saddam Hussein, Priya Manichan, and the rest of the PPP saying, hey, don't worry the promotional exam. We're going to promote them at the end of the term anyhow, because no child should be left behind. No child should be left behind. And so they will be promoted because there will be no promotional exams. Let's use continuous assessment to promote them. But when is the instruction coming to promote them based on continuous assessment? When the term has about 6 weeks, if so many left. And so we continuously assessing them for the next 6 weeks when teachers are on strike. In short, to cover their failures, the ministry is saying, we can promote them anyhow. Now, what is the impact of that? Before I go to the impact of that, let me go to the grade 9 exams. Do not use the grade 9 examination to determine streaming of the children. Let me explain that. Again, it's a promotional examination. And it is an examination that determines which stream you go to. Let me explain streaming in case you don't know, Mike. At least when I was at school, we had a science stream. That is if you're science-oriented. In order to get into the science stream, you have to pass mathematics, English language. Mathematics and English are core subjects which you must pass to be promoted. Mathematics and English, integrated science. Right? I think social studies, you have to pass at least those 4 subjects before you can even be considered for entry into the science stream. Then they have the business stream. You have to pass mathematics, you have to pass English language, you have to pass social studies, and maybe geography or one of them. But those social studies, maths, and English were prerequisites to the business stream. Then you got, now they got tech stream or industrial technology, I think they call it. Right? And we also had arts. For you to go into arts, you have to pass social studies, maths, English, geography. Because when a child performs at that examination and you look and you see where their strengths were, you can determine this person is science-oriented, this person is technical-oriented, this person is business-oriented, this person is arts-oriented. And so you put them in the stream based on their orientation from what you're seeing in their examination results. But here you are saying, forget that. Don't use the examination to stream them. Don't look at their performance in the examinations to stream them to determine which is a good fit to them. Just hear what they want to do. Just hear what they want to do. And so you might have a child who, in his mind, wants to study science. But when you look at the child's performance, he or she is nowhere close to performing well in science. And so because the child says, I want to go in science, then they take them and send them in science. And as time progresses, you recognize that this child is really failing science because this child has more aptitude for the arts. This child is a more hands-on person, so this child should have been in the technical area. But no, Saddam Hussein and Sitara Gal say, hey, forget that thing, man. Don't look at the exam results. Just listen to them and see where they want. And so what? These clowns are setting our children up for failure simply because they are failing to act as a government with a conscience, to act as a government with the interest of our learners at heart, as a government with the interest of our citizens at heart. It's an ego trip. This country is about ego. I got a bigger boss than you, and therefore you can't make I do what you're requesting that I do, even if you're right. We will see the long-term impact of those decisions. We are definitely going to see the long-term impact of those decisions. But I hope that you're recognizing the wickedness of your government in the decisions that they're making. The lines are opened. 6225933 is the number to call. 6225933 is the number to call. The funny thing is this. The people who are making decisions that will harm your my children and our next generations are the people who are controlling the country's purses, getting the best of rewards for themselves and their families, and ensuring that their children get the best education. So we're going to end up like India. And the Ghanese were the only persons in apparently capable of managing the country. Was Indira Gandhi, was Rajiv Gandhi, was this Gandhi, was that Gandhi, the other Gandhi, until people start killing them out. So it's a dynasty. The only people who will get education in this country, because they got money to pay for it, would be the Nandalas. Well, they understand you don't get no picnic, so not worried. The Alis and the Husseins and the Manichans, only them picnic will get education. And then they're going to come and say, well, we going to run the country because we get education. We are setting ourselves up, or we are allowing ourselves to be set up, to be enslaved, to be marginalized. Take note. Stand up against the wickedness of this government, as is evident in their decisions. Stand up against them and fight for the changes that you know will benefit this country and your next generations. Caller, thank you for holding. You're live.
Thank you. Good morning to you and all my black brothers and sisters. Well. We must always remember, Jagan said claim, own the land, and you will own the country. Find point for Flat Garden. Wherever you got to do it. If you got to kill black man, punish black man, drive them out of the country, do it. Because Guyana belongs to Kobe people. Last night we listened to Mr. David, and our black sister mentioned a word where everybody, black man, afraid to mention a word. I mentioned it before. When my grandmother teach me, a good colleague is a good one. And Charandas make me remember what my grandmother teach me. It's not all of them. They will make me say clear, but majority of them. Because God blessed us with 5 senses, but we are only using 4. That is our big problem in Guyana. We're not using all 5, and the main one we're supposed to use is our hands. I am glad you mentioned the word many times about wicked, the word wicked. What God did when Samson said to him, Lord, restore back my strength. Let me kill out these wicked people. My God, come on, Flat Garden. What Samson did? What God did? God said, no, don't do that, this is wrong. God, restore back Samson to kill out those wicked people. You see, sometimes when we believe that when we do something, we go to hell. No, if God didn't want Flat Garden to repeat this, he would have removed it before Flat Garden born, before you go to school, to learn to read and understand. It is time for black people to use them hands. We talk too much, and we depend on Abinati too much. Abinati is not the answer. It's our power and dignity and personality is the answer to the situation in Guyana right now. You guys don't believe in fire, but trust God, you believe in fire. You can only believe in fire. And Jesus said, I come not to condemn, but to fulfill. You live by the sword, you perish by the sword. You call the government and live by the sword with black people and told them children today. But black people keeping them hands in them pocket. They're afraid to go outside there. Look, these young men in Haiti. Young men. They go outside, they find gun, brick, cutlass, and they shut the country down. They shut the business down. And the president, they have to resign and let progress start. Why we Guyanese, black men, young men, cannot do that? But we're allowing these people them to do a lot of things to our grandparents and parents.
I think we lost Flash. The lines remain open. 6225923 is the number to call. Darren Ali say I'm not the brightest bulb in the room. I'm providing light though. The kind of light that the PPP can't withstand. Right, Darren Ali? Ali is not the brightest light in the room. I don't know if Ali got any light. Ali is a dark hole. But y'all still got the dancing and leading, y'all. Call it life.
Morning, Kadaki, and morning, Guyana. Simple question for African Guyanese folks. When are we going to get some sense? A couple of years ago, I believe I had called and said the Indianization of the educational system. So for 23 years, the racist mafia PPP has been in there, Indian party. And all they have done is Indianize the educational system. So my question is, when are we going to get some sense as an African people to see what is actually happening to them? But apparently, the beat goes on, and we have no solution to what is happening. Like Fox Gordon said, shut the country down. That's my take.
Thank you for your call. The lines remain open. 6225923 is the number to call. Call your life.
Morning, Kadaki. I don't know if you can hear me properly. You hearing me?
Yes.
Good. Let me add something to the Ibrahim Tiari. He's coming on the back of Thomas Zangakar, right, who was murdered by France after he took over that country. And what Ibrahim is doing, Ibrahim was a real boy when the man was murdered. What Ibrahim is doing exactly what that man intended to do. You know that boy even murdered, and they offer him, that gentleman I should say, they offer him presidential salary, and he refused to say no, give me my colonel's salary. He said to the country, we're going to tax you so that we can buy arms to the country. Our country needs arms, and the country gave him the red light to go ahead. You know, we ain't got selfless leaders there in Guyana who will dare do that. It's all about them, especially the PPP, especially the PPP. We talked about so it's Success Foundation, blah, 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 etc. Really, in the land from building out skills and so on. As you should know, I lived in Bahamas, went through some terrible hurricanes. And that same Calvin in London, after Hurricane Gina Francis, which mashed up the island of Freeport, was given a contract. You know what? He headed the program to build homes for the U.S. State Department and the Bahamian government together. And he built those things in flood zone areas. So people, the Israeli people got their land. People couldn't move, right? and the same man be charged with nonsense. Yes, he did that, Calvin his brother. You understand? As to the Minister of Education, woman, the back. Soon things will happen to y'all, and your children will suffer. The dumbness that you are doing, your children will suffer. I don't care if you say they're going to come and live out here, but we're going to make sure somebody is going to suffer for every one of you because you continue to dumb down that country. Because education is not important to you. An educated nation is a well-informed nation. You are interested in education, right? But we are things to soon swim and some of y'all. And Flash Gordon said, stop depending on Africa. Everybody going to protest. Out with run now. And then on Tuesday, if you have put your money where you must pay, out with run to them on Tuesday. In front of Jesus, the faithful servants call them, go out with them and put your money where you must be. That's one of the most important protests right now for that country. That day, by elections, the changing of the voting list, where you're sitting on your ass, waiting on Aubrey Dark. Y'all are leaders, y'all need to go to power, y'all got. Go out with run to them, put your money where you must be. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. I'm your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. We got a voice note. Let's play it.
A very good morning to you for conducting the rest of the Guyanese nation. God has spoken to those who are in and out of diet of all business. Mr. Kadaki, those situation that you see happen here on the back of the place, people should be held responsible for it. Those things is sacrifice and a debt more the people should be held for it. And we're talking about them foundation with them house. They got no contractor who don't know that them house will fall. Those are premeditated act. You can't build foundation for put house on column like that. And the column tap in tight, the column tap in a board in and board and not lock. I just set up a solid base, a proper base, so that clean out the ground properly and put a solid base. And you already know that what happens. So the people who live there, thank God that none of them had become victim because the rain wasn't more than that. And I wasn't more every water or one. You know, rain pour more than that. They need to thank God because all them might have in the house. And I let me hear some put one of the yellow. And then they will Guyana now, but they got a big chaos squad. Because people might have there to get injured or end up in a wheelchair. There's no sacrifices be made. And there's no trap accept. Open when the rain comes, people will become victim. I can't see nothing more than that. They got no proper body in the right sense. That call themselves contractor will do nothing like that. Or support that by supposed to be all. They contempt for them more if possible. But that won't happen in this country. However, I do all they teach them don't give in to this government's stupidness. God can't eat their dinner and Guyana is finished with. Let this government properly make proper agreement and promise before they agree to go back in. I am warning them. This government is stopping now. Right now they want to put people in poverty all the time. That's why they purposely do it that. They want to go up uneducated and illiterate so they can get for control them as Dunstones. But I am telling you, Guyana and Guyanese parents, come to yourself. Vote this government out. Vote this government out. If they stay in the next 5 years, I side for what I'm with Guyana, the children and Guyana future. Get rid of this government and don't let it get all and know them local government branch. Don't let it do it. I am telling y'all, all them city all the community they're gonna mourn. It's bare wickedness these people after. They're not after peace, love, nor unity. They're not after kindness nor gentleness. They're not after a country becoming successful and developed. They are trying to keep a nation in poverty. Guyanese parents, all who going to vote, don't get tricked on this election. God bless Guyana. Again, you can't say y'all not be one. Y'all cannot say y'all not be one. Get rid of this government. God bless this country. God bless you, Guyanese. God bless you, Mr. Kadaki. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for your voice note. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. You have another voice note.
And good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. I'm just calling to put in my 2 bits, you know. When I think about this whole thing, this government is very wicked and vindictive toward these people. They don't care about nobody. Just imagine. The teachers, they refuse to just give this teacher what they rightfully deserve. Teachers is a hard-working people like this. Oh, teacher lazy, teacher this, teacher that. And put some of them to do the work. They cannot do the work. What black people do this? People so that they hate us so, man. It's time people wake up out of this sleep and stand up against this government. This government is a demonic and a regime that hate black people and hate those that vote against them. Because I realize if an Indian, they see the Indian look like they're going on the AP news side, they victimize them. But they target black people most. And I don't understand. They get a man there, they call it the bishop or whatever bishop he be. I don't know what he just tell his members them when he go to church Sunday morning. His members them need to put him to his place and let him know he's not doing the correct thing. He should have been like a Joseph there for black people to stand up for them, but instead, he is more wicked than the government. And I think more people need to come out and support the teacher, and the teacher should not submit to them. Stand up. They must have to come to something. And let them not give them no stupidities and accept it. Tell them they're giving them this percentage. No, let them give them what they want, because this long now they've been struggling for it. And now you're going to say, oh, you're going to evaluate to them and put them over, because they don't intend giving the teacher anything. That's why we're going to show them. The teacher need to show them and would not go back into the classroom. Where the valuation or variation they're doing, they're not going back. Because school have to open back. And you have to have teachers to teach them. So let me watch and see. I think other unions supposed to come on with these people and call for what they want to. Make this protest more powerful. And I think the APNU need to bring out their supporters and support the teacher too. Because they have people in the teaching authority that are teachers. The parents are teachers, the children are teachers. So we need to come out and support. Numbers speaks a lot. If we have 3,000 people on the road, the PPP will come to the senses. But if you just get like 10, they don't care. And they're not deciding he's supporting protests. Well, I'm sorry for he think it's a pussycat, is a kidney playing with, you know. But there's a old Bengal tiger he got in front of him. And this Sunday school politics where he playing can't work. You got to be drastic with these people.
Thank you for your voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Kidaki. Concerning a letter, apart from the teachers being on strike and your explanation to us, it has also to do with her daughter at Queen's College, who is in grade 9 going over to grade 10. So the streaming from the third form into the fourth form, that is to accommodate her daughter who is not doing well at QC, who is just like her. She was no high flyer at Queen's College, and the same thing, the daughter is no high flyer. She's doing that also, not only because the teachers are on strike or whatever you explain. I'm not doubting what your explanation, but it's to accommodate her daughter. She does a lot of things to accommodate her daughter, who's at Queen's College, going into the fourth form in September.
Thank you for that. I'll take some calls now. I think I've played a number of voice notes and people are trying to call. So the lines are open. You can call. Call and let me tag the thing. 6225933 is the number to call. You see how y'all stay? When voice note playing, y'all calling. When voice note stop playing, y'all call. Y'all ain't calling. Well,
Leaders from the West who wish to remove Ibrahim Traore from power are stunned.
Y'all want the attention? It's now 11 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. Let me see if there are other voice notes. Morning, are you morning? Morning, neighbor, morning. Are you morning, neighbor, morning? Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. It is that time of the day. What time? 7 hours 36, and it's the 20th of May in the year 2024. Welcome to another program. How have you been? How was it yesterday? How was your weekend? How was your last night? Did you engage in some extracurricular activities? Did you engage in some entrepreneurial activities? Did you make some money? How comfortable are you today? How have you improved your lives from, let's say, Friday when we last spoke? To today, Monday. Why did I pause? I noticed pause on this is saying why make so much children. What people cheering have to do with you, Paul? What people's children have to do with you? I went out this morning to collect one of my tents. And I still have to go back to collect a couple other tents and some chairs and tables. And I'm saying this morning, we discussed them African men for getting 3 and 4 and 12 and 40 children and so. But if I'd followed the pattern and I'd gotten more than 2 children, maybe I would have been able to relax and plan this program and do this program. And my elder children would have gone to get the tent and tables and chairs. Maybe they would have been running the business. But as it is, I have one adult child. He has completed his education, he's employed. I guess as we know, see no looking woman. So I can call him at any time to do anything, to assist with anything. He's going to, as much as he can possibly do it, he will drop what he plans and he will come and get what I would like done. He's a great assistant, I can say that. But I being the person I am, and those who know me, I don't like molest people, So I won't call my son to say, come and help me with, take down these chairs and tables and so on and so forth and things. Especially if I know he's getting some much needed me time. Right? So I'm saying this morning, why you laps? You should have got another child coming 2 or 3 years behind this one. Right? So that this one now must reach that age where he basically got to start doing his own thing and he's doing his own thing and so on. You get another one to fall in there. And you're supposed to do the same thing with the one. The second one, you're supposed to get one coming another 2, 3 years behind and so you have a constant supply of labor. Not me. My children were born 10 years apart. 10 years apart. Good, so you can imagine what I'm dealing with. Right? So this one, Paul, or whoever your name is, asking people why so many children. In the days of old, and I want to believe, I don't know it to be a fact because I haven't researched it. In the days of old, on the motherland, and even right here because some cultural practices naturally came, people made a lot of children. You ever hear old people say children is riches? Have you ever tried to analyze why children is considered riches? why children are considered riches, or why they were considered riches. I don't know if they still are considered riches. Huh? Societies like Mother Africa and so on were built on farming. Farming was a major economic activity. And so the amount of land you can take up and develop had a lot to do with the availability of manpower. And so if you got 2 children, naturally, you can't take up and develop a lot of land. Even if you were willing to, you would have to be paying a whole lot of money for manpower. And so a lot of our folks, they had plenty children. And right now, if those of you look at these African movies and so on, would see that families live in compound. It's only mostly in these parts we talking about a little house lot and so on. Probably live in compound, they live in plantations. A big compound, everybody, all my children, my wives, and so on. Everybody live in the compound and everybody getting along. And everybody is expected to put their shoulders to the wheel to ensure that we get high levels of production, because when we get high levels of production, it means we have enough to feed ourselves and enough to market. And so children are riches. The more children you get, the more labor you get to till the land and plow the farm, etc., etc. So higher your rate of productivity, richer you can become. People will tell me that is medieval society, this is old-time society, right? But there's where the wisdom was. Children are riches. Nowadays, people see a lot of children as a curse, or a lot of children as poverty. If a lot of children are considered poverty, it is because of how societies are planned. It's not because children are curses or children bring poverty. It is because of how society is planned. Check. Let's go back to the days of old. In the old Guyana, my mother, for example, had 11 children. 11 picnics she get. I'm the last of 11, right? And I'm told that it possibly would have been 13 because I know she had twins. The twins died. The brother before me is what they call the twin bench, right? As far as I remember. So the twins died. So my mother, for example, would have had 13 children. Married to my father, who, as far as as far as I know, had one older child before he got married to my mother. So my father would have, maybe, from the look of things, had 14 children. But I also hear stories of my father having children in Essequibo and children in Plaisance and so on. So if any of y'all out there from Essequibo and Plaisance and y'all daddy named George Amsterdam and y'all never see, and he from Buxton, he was a sea defense worker and so on and so forth, yeah, I could come, let me link up, let me see if the DNA right. Good? Anyways. But when you look at families of old, you recognize that they were big. I've heard of families that had 19 children, 10 children, 11 children, 8, 7, 6. Good. And when you looked at them, especially where they were cohesive, even if you look at them now, you will come to recognize that a lot of those families are well-to-do, or they did well. Because, for example, most of the skills that they required, they could have found right within the family. They could have found right within the family. For me, maybe I am the academic, bookworm kind of person for my siblings. But I have brothers who are masons, carpenters, joiner, painter, tiler, right? So and you're looking for certain skill. My sister, I have a sister, Maureen, who used to throw coconut bags on truck. Because she was a trader. She used to buy and sell coconuts from Buxton to Starbuck, to border. And so on. Good. So we had a diversity of skills in our family. And when you look around, if I were to look to the offspring, I have welder, I have construction work again, IT specialists. Now, if you look at a family like that, the possibility is if they're cohesive, they will be comfortable and well-to-do because they have a whole lot of skills that are relevant to the time. Track families again from maybe the 60s, 70s, families that were big, you will find a common trend for the most part. I'm not saying that some of them didn't wind up poor for one reason or other. But even when they're poor, you find out of that large number of children, somebody steps out of what you might consider the norm and elevates his or herself, and in many instances is able now to pull the others out of poverty. At least take care of the parents, make them live comfortable. Right? So having a lot of children is not a curse. And we have to stop making it a curse. We got to stop cussing people about making plenty children. I heard a clip the other day from this crass person, CRSS, crass person. Apparently a woman called this poor woman and said, well, I'm a single mother or something, I got 7 children. And he started cussing. You got to put padlock on your vagina, you got this, you got those 7 children, yeah, that's 7 children. 7 children is a curse. So modern families start getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Like me, I got 2 children. Right? Some people got 1 child. In fact, my sister I just mentioned, she got 1 son. 1. And in fact, both of my sisters, they got 1 child each. Both of them are sons. And we usually got the thing and say 1 from 1 leaves nothing. But forget 1 from 1 leaving nothing. When those children become adults and they move on with their lives, who will become the caregivers for their parents? Have you ever considered that? The world is a global village. People migrate from one place to the other. Those children become adults. They decide I go in and see farther afield. Beat out, gone to the US, Canada, wherever. Who's there to assist? The parent. Right? These are things that we need to look at and stop cussing people about making enough children. Enough children got its benefits. And there are more benefits, more advantages with having a lot of children than there are disadvantages. Having a lot of children, especially if they're properly spaced, give parents, especially in these economic times, the leverage of having an adult child take care of minors while parents go to work. That's a plus. The children who went to school before can use their knowledge to empower their siblings, the younger siblings. Because I did trigonometry before, and so I can do trigonometry with my brother who is now doing trigonometry. My daughter, the only lessons my daughter went to is Hawaii. Physics and chem and physics, I think. Her brother was her maths teacher for lessons for CXC. I was his maths teacher for CXC. I was his English teacher. I was his social science teacher for CXC. Right? So you have a small family. Certain things you have to outsource, you got to pay for them. Imagine I would have had to pay for lessons to my children or my son to start with if I didn't have certain skill set. Or if my son didn't get certain skill set, then he couldn't assist his sister in preparation for examinations. Right? Think on that. No course in having a lot of children. When there's poverty in a society, it appears as though the problem is a lot of children for families. And we, as I would say, shift the goalposts, we shift the blame. God has sent y'all, you know. I know why. Because I came on this morning to talk about the poverty in this country. Good? So y'all don't think that Paul or whatever his name is, or whoever it was, took me off topic. No. We have to stop shifting the blame and saying that people are poor because they got a lot of children. People are poor because government policies are poor. People are poor because government's management of the economy is poor. Let me explain this. I'm starting at lands. When you live in a society where 4 generations have to live in one home, government policies are contributing to poverty. Because there isn't a policy that says, by the time I get to the age of 18 as a young adult, I have access to facilities that would permit me to own my own home, whether by mortgage, to own my own transportation, whether by mortgage, to access capital for the development of business, for example. There's no policy in this Guyanese society that facilitates that. I'm talking about government policy. I mean, generally, when we talk about policy, we're talking about government, national policy. So I become of age, I'm 18. And I have to continue to live with my parents. The government says I can't apply for land until I get to age 21. So I still got another 3 years at least to live with my parents. Good, before I could apply for land. In many instances, it takes more than 10 years to get land in this society because of government policy. And so I'm 21 and kicking brick. I'm living with my parents. It means 31, as a matter of fact. I'm kicking brick. I'm living with my parents. It means for those, let's say 13 years, as an adult, I can't generally acquire anything. I might get a job, but I can't acquire anything that is related to my home because my parents already got their furnishings. We are buying a new chair set to put it on the roof. We are buying a refrigerator to put it on the roof. So I can't make preparation for my family. And so I'm going to get a girl, and she come and we get a visiting relationship perhaps. Because she in the same situation. She ain't got no scope to do anything in her family. And children start coming. Naturally, they just end up with the father. Mother moving with the father, so we have about 10 generations living in one home, and conflict develops and all of that. But you check in other societies. The American society, for example, I marvel at it. You got 15-year-olds and maybe 10-year and 12-year-olds that are business owners, that are already on the path of financial success because there are policies to facilitate that. The policies to facilitate that. And so there are also policies to facilitate the maintenance of your children to a large extent. So if you got 10 picnic, it really ain't necessarily going to keep you in poverty, because there's a social security system, or whatever they call it. The more children you make in the US, according to my understanding, y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, the better it is for you. You get more tax breaks and so on. In Guyana, you get nothing. There was a time, and sometimes you have to go back to come forward. There was a time I know in Guyana where Forbes Warner was experimenting. I don't know what they used to call it, if it was social security number one. But I know that you had a particular number. And that number took into consideration the number of children you have, whether or not you were taking care of the elder family members, who were your dependents, and so on. And that determined how your taxes were calculated. And so if you had 10 children, you would have paid less tax than a man who got one child. If you were taking care of a mother, a grandmother, a grandfather, and so on, your taxes were calculated based on that, so you paid less taxes. And so a lot of people, and you see, sometimes when you reflect on these things, you say, sometimes some people think. And I'm going to a place where you would recognize where I'm going. A lot of people were keen or comfortable enough to take care not only of their children, but their elders. Because they were being, quote unquote, rewarded for taking care of those elders by this tax relief that they were getting. I remember when people were computing their taxes back in the day, they had every time they carry niece, nephew, and all kinds of things they used to put on that tax return as dependents. So they got to keep more of their money. But now when that policy is out the door, because as far as I know right now, everybody pays the same rate of taxes, regardless of how many children you have or not, regardless of how many dependents you have or not. Y'all could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure Winston Jordan should be listening. So Winston, you could drop me whether WhatsApp or you want to give me a call or something. Tell me if I'm wrong. And for the fact that that policy is no more, and for the fact that current policies do not take that into consideration, we have more street dwellers. We have more street dwellers. People are putting their elders out of the home more. And so when we look at our society and we see a whole set of elders are on the street sleeping on pavement dwellers, and we're quarreling with the government why y'all don't get these people off the street and put them in night shelters and so on and so forth. It couldn't be that it just happened. It happened because of government policies or an absence of appropriate policies to take care of problems like these. You must have had to be a visionary to recognize that if I don't have certain policies in place, I am going to be faced with this problem down the line. And so when a mother has 7 children, and she's being paid $98,000 a month, and the father self is being paid $98,000 a month, I'm talking teachers here, or public servants in general. And I'm stretching that number to 7, but even if you got 2 children, or even a child is a stretch. And there are no policies to assist that parent economically and otherwise to take care of that child or children, 7 children. What happens? Those children in turn find themselves on the wayside, just like the elders. The elders are dwelling on the wayside, but those children usually go on the wayside to beg. Because what? Mommy gonna do she guard work, or she teacher work, or she clerk work. The society is so designed now that you ain't got an extended family really to take care of them, so everybody got to hustle. They either go daycare or they're left unsupervised. And so while they're left unsupervised, they're out in the streets, they're begging, they're doing deviant things. And that's why you could end up with a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, and an 18-year-old being charged for murder. Poverty in a society is not because people are lazy. It's not because everybody makes bad choices. It is because government policies are not in place to help people to manage certain situations. So don't curse a mother for having 7 children. Don't curse a mother for having 10 children. Curse the government for not having appropriate policies in place so that people can really take care of their responsibilities. A lot of people find themselves in difficult circumstances. Let me give you another social impact of 7 children and how people end up with 7 and 8 children and so on, and in poverty. Because the lack of education as we're experiencing right now, this current generation, this current crop of students have not been able to enjoy the exposure that they should have been enjoying at the level at which they are at currently. Right? They have not been able to enjoy the level of exposure in terms of education and learning at school that they should have been exposed to at this level. More than half the number of weeks they've been deprived of because teachers are on strike. Teachers were forced to go on strike because government policy says we will not pay you adequately. We will not negotiate with you in good faith. Instead of addressing the need to negotiate with teachers in good faith and pay them adequately, the government has decided that the way out of dealing with this situation is to say no end of term examinations. Children must be promoted on continuous assessment. No emphasis on the end of term examination to stream children. Send them, stream them according to their preference. This crop of students, especially if they are at that grade 9, 10, 11 area, they're likely to leave school undereducated, functionally illiterate. What will happen? They are going to come into the society, they will become adults. Man on big on belly, homon geshi belly, big by man, both of them functionally illiterate. What kind of job they can attract? Menial, low level, low paying. They're going to make children. They can't provide for them. Out of frustration, in many instances, the initial family going broke up. Man going left woman with child. Woman with her inadequacy because of her inadequate education and inability to earn adequately, go look for another man. Another man gonna come like the savior, pretend to be the savior. He gonna big she belly again. Same matter. Can't provide adequately because now it is seen as though you can provide for one man that left child plus his child. Cut and run. Sugar got for buy, milk got for buy. Now it's a 2 months or 3 months. Another man gonna come. And when you check it, it's a cycle. And before you catch yourself, the man got 7 children, maybe for 4 different men. But all of them, you can put in the bracket of being functionally illiterate, undereducated, incapable of earning enough to take care of any family. And we curse them. And we say, are you slap? Are you lawless? This is why I end up so. No. Government policy starting with the failure of the education system put them so. Mr. Amsterdam, you just blame government for everything. Government is management of resources by the people for the people. My definition. My definition. A group of people is put there to manage the national resources for the benefit of everybody. And if they are not managing it properly, everybody else going to suffer. I showed you the video Friday last of Traore. Right? Young man with a vision. Who is he, 36 or something? He recognized that his people were on the brink of poverty. They couldn't provide for themselves. Food insecurity and all of that was big. You know, it is a government by 400 tractors to distribute its population to increase food production. You know, it is a government to buy hundreds of tillers to distribute to the population to improve production for food security, water pumps and so on. That is a government that is managing the people's resources for the benefit of the people, to lift the people out of poverty. I think it's, we like to talk about, is it Switzerland? It's Norway. Where citizens are catered for. Libya, Gaddafi country, where if you wanted to study anything that the country's university can't facilitate, the nation's resources are used to send you overseas to study it. Every citizen gets a home. Healthcare is top of the line, taken care of by government. Check the quality of life. I mean, I don't know where it is now, but prior to Gaddafi's destruction, although the West wanted us to believe a certain thing, check and see when governments really are catering to the needs of the people and putting adequate policies in place, what happens? Check the progressive nations. They reward people for making children because they recognize the human capital is the most important. But in backwater countries like these, we cost them for making children. We got policies that fail their children and fail them, but we cost them. I've noticed over the weekend the deaths of a couple of young people. I was told this morning of a young woman apparently lighting herself a fire. A young pregnant woman lighting herself a fire. Has anybody stopped to ask themselves, why would she do that? I know we talk about postnatal stress and so on and things. Why would a pregnant woman just light herself a fire? Why would a young man full of life just decide to commit suicide? I'm sure it's because of societal pressure. That young woman, for whatever reason, maybe is all frustrated, overwhelmed by the thought of bringing a young one into the world. The father don't walk out and left her. The mother tormenting her at home, and stuff like that. You don't see it every day on the news of parents abandoning their children because they can't provide for them. I told you of a video I saw where a parent said it's easier to eat on the road than cook at home because of the level of income. I challenge any of you to show me how to live off of 98,000 a month, where you have to pay rent, you have utilities. Do it as an individual. Don't even do it as if you have a child. Don't do it as if you have a child. Just do it as an individual and see how it's possible to live off of $98,000 a month, from which you have to get transportation costs to go to and from work. Do it for me. Please, I beg you. The PPP representatives on here, y'all show me how to do it. And then when you show that it can be done, you could cost people for failing. Because then you're going to say it's their failure, not the government failure. But until you could prove that it could be done, it's the government's failure. I got a video to show you. Yeah, I want to show you all this one. I hope Guyanese will get to the point where they can recognize what is good for them and do just what these folks are doing in Burkina Faso.
Leaders from the West who wish to remove Ibrahim Traoré from power are stunned by the current state of affairs in Burkina Faso. Nowhere in Africa have citizens ever protested for the extension of a president's term. Yet in Burkina Faso, thousands of people are taking to the streets to demand that Ibrahim Traoré's transition period be extended. The transitional period in Burkina Faso is set to end on July 1st, with the upcoming general elections. However, a recent major mobilization organized by the National Coordination of Citizen Watch Associations was not just about filling up the stands of a stadium. It was a powerful demonstration of the people's unwavering commitment to their leader and his vision. As participants from Burkina Faso took to the streets, they boldly waved their respective flags and made their message clear. No elections in Burkina Faso. This statement reflects the reality that the people are ready to take extraordinary measures to focus on the stabilization and strengthening of their country. The demonstration was a true representation of the people's firm determination to stand behind their leader and support his vision for the future. It was a display of their unyielding commitment to the stability and progress of Burkina Faso, even if it means suspending the conventional democratic process. The question that remains is whether the next national conference, unanimously approved by the Transitional National Assembly, will give concrete expression to this popular will. This meeting will represent a decisive moment, a moment when the voice of the people can be officially heard and integrated into the political fabric of Burkina Faso. In the meantime, Burkina Faso is at a crossroads. The choices that will be made in the coming weeks and months will determine not only the immediate political future of the country, but also its long-term trajectory. What is at stake, then, is not simply an extension of the transition, but the very definition of governance and national sovereignty in a rapidly changing world. Whether one agrees with the method or not, it is undeniable that Traoré's approach has aroused remarkable commitment and patriotism among many of his fellow citizens. They seem ready to defend a vision of Burkina Faso, which, while rooted in its traditions, is resolutely turned towards the future. A Burkina Faso where unity and stability are not empty words, but active principles that guide every decision, every action. In case you are wondering why the people of Burkina Faso are fighting so hard for their captain to remain in power, let me give you some points on what Ibrahim Traoré has done to his people. Ibrahim Traoré is a dynamic leader who has brought significant positive changes to Burkina Faso. He is known for his pragmatic solutions and his keen attention to detail. Under his leadership, Burkina Faso is experiencing remarkable progress. Traoré's most significant achievement is the construction of a gold refinery in Burkina Faso. Despite being one of the world's largest suppliers of gold, the country didn't have its own refinery. This was a significant loss of jobs and wealth for Burkina Faso. Traoré recognized this issue and promptly commissioned the construction of a gold refinery that would create job opportunities and bring wealth to the country. Another issue that Traoré addressed was the importation of tomato paste. Despite Burkina Faso's ability to export tomatoes to the world, the country was still importing tomato paste from other countries. Traore saw this as unacceptable and immediately commissioned the construction of a tomato processing plant. This project would not only create jobs, but also ensure food security and produce various food products. Furthermore, Traore has initiated the construction of a world-class health facility worth $80 million. This project aims to improve healthcare delivery in Burkina Faso, which is crucial for the well-being of the country's citizens. It's important to note that Traore's decision to partner with the private sector for all these projects was a wise one. He recognized that the government is inherently inefficient and as a result involved the private sector to ensure that these projects were completed on time and within budget, while providing job opportunities and improving the country's economy. Captain Traore, the leader of Burkina Faso, has taken a bold step to reduce the salaries of government officials in the country. In a recent interview, he expressed his serious concern and disappointment over the excessively high salaries and allowances paid to certain public servants and executives. He denounced the practice and declared that it would no longer be tolerated under his administration. Captain Traore emphasized that it is unjust for a few individuals to earn millions of CFA franc as salaries every month, while many others in the society struggle to afford even the basic necessities of life, such as food and clean drinking water. He made it clear that reducing the salaries of certain politicians is not enough, and that the whole system needs to be corrected to ensure balance. He stated that the principle of balance should underpin every aspect of the proposed reforms, and that it is time to correct the imbalance in the system. To achieve this, Captain Traore announced that he has set in place plans to reduce the salaries of government officials. He made it clear that some people may see a decrease in their salary, while others may see an increase. But they should accept it in good faith because it is for the greater good and it will create a balance. He urged everyone to contribute to the growth of the country, even if it means accepting a reduction in salary. Captain Traore's decision to reduce the salaries of government officials is a bold move towards achieving a more equitable and just society in Burkina Faso. It is a clear indication of his determination to ensure that everyone has access to basic necessities of life, and that the country's resources are distributed fairly. Therefore, any opposition to this move will not be tolerated as it is for the greater good of the nation. Traore is a visionary leader who is committed to driving economic growth in his country. He has implemented several measures to boost the economy, including historic tax cuts and working closely with the private sector to provide young entrepreneurs with access to capital to start their businesses. He understands that the private sector is a critical driver of economic growth and is keen to support young entrepreneurs who are the future of the economy. Another example of Traore's ingenuity is his introduction of popular shareholding, which is his plan to privatize government holdings and projects and allow the public to invest in their country. This innovative idea aims to give ordinary citizens a stake in their country's economy and promote a culture of investment. As part of this plan, he sold 20% of the government's phone company to the public, which generated $60 million for critical projects. Traore's approach to economic development is based on a belief in the power of the private sector to drive growth and create jobs. He is committed to creating an environment where businesses can thrive and young entrepreneurs can access the resources they need to succeed. His vision for economic growth is ambitious, but he has a proven track record of success and is dedicated to achieving his goals. Ibrahim stunned journalists with his bold pronouncement that he would defend his people's right to protest, even if it meant standing up against his own actions. He firmly believes that as a servant of the people, he is not above being held accountable for his actions, and that it is his duty to protect the rights of his fellow citizens. Ibrahim's consistent statements about how he and his comrades have been entrusted with the vital mission of safeguarding the future of the nation are a refreshing departure from the norm in a continent where leaders often act like autocrats and the people are treated like subjects. His unwavering dedication to the cause has won him the respect and admiration of many,
Thank you. Sorry, I got it. Thank you. Right. Thank you very much. Yes. I was saying, I can't play the entire video right now because we pressed the time, but you can find it on YouTube. Go and listen. But I want you to take those little gems in it. In quick time, this young leader has made efforts to fix what is seen as a problem in its society. 400 tractors, plus this, plus that, plus the other, plus the next. To address the matter of food security. He has put systems in place so young entrepreneurs can have access to capital. Around the world, for the most part, you see nations want to get rid of their leaders. In Burkina Faso, the people are now protesting to keep this leader. You recognize, listen, this country, we are losing great wealth because we don't have a gold refinery. We need a gold refinery. Immediately partnered with the private sector for the establishment of a gold refinery. Its justification? Why I partner with the private sector? Not because I want drawbacks, not because I want kickback, not because I want under the table deal, not because I want corruption, but I recognize the importance of the private sector. I recognize that they treat business like business. I recognize the inefficiencies of government. And so I'm going to go with the private sector because they will show respect for timelines and so on. And they were able to complete that project in a timely manner. And this same video here tells you of several other implementations that will benefit his people. Here in Guyana, we got so much money coming to this nation by oil. Plus we got gold. Plus we got bauxite. Plus we got timber. Plus we got rare metals. Plus we got rainforest, carbon credits. And our young entrepreneurs can get access to financing. Our young people can get access to technical training that can be used in this oil economy to benefit from the very oil industry. Instead of expanding, they're constricting. Instead of facilitating growth, they're destroying. In this oil economy, we don't have a government that will buy 20 tractors, much less 400, to give to people who would love to be in farming, to produce more, and to ensure food security and economic growth for themselves and the nation. In this oil economy, we don't see it necessary to build processing facilities. So producers can add value to their production. So cassava, for example, got to be exported as cassava. There's no facility that will really process cassava to really add value to it. Our timber, imagine Guyana got so much forest, and the only thing we could export is logs. A penny on the dollar. Can't we, in this Iowa, use our resources to establish things that will benefit us and policies that will eliminate poverty? The only thing we could use our land resources, for example, to do is build hotels, and specialty hospitals and casinos, gamble houses, and whore houses. And our people have to be importing tomatoes from neighboring Brazil, pineapple from Brazil, bell peppers from Brazil, fruits and vegetables from Brazil. And we have vast amount of lands and waterways. Poverty is a byproduct of the government failure to adopt policies that can lift people out of poverty. Someone sent me some videos here, some pictures. Let me tell you, I'm not going to try to post it up right now. In Norway, they pay 6,000 crowns per month until the child is age 2, and then 1,000 crowns per month. So somebody is saying your poor family planning is to you. Because I'm poor, I don't have a right to, what's the word I'm looking for? Reproduce, I ain't got a right to make picnic because I'm poor. So abortion and family planning is set aside for poor people. Because you're poor, you must lose the right to your body. Because you're poor, you must eliminate the right to natural functions of your body. But who was put us in a position of being poor? Right? Who has put us in a position of being poor? The people who are managing our resources. So in other parts of the world, they're saying, listen, we recognize the importance of you performing these functions. So in Norway, we will pay you $6,000 from the time your child born, perhaps, until that child, 6,000 crowns until that child gets age 2. And then we will give you 1,000 crowns per month, I guess, until that child becomes an adult. In Finland, they pay 10,000 euros over a 10-year period for each baby born, plus other family benefits. In Singapore, they pay $6,000 for the first and second child, and an additional $12,000 for the third and fourth child. Right? In France, they pay a one-off payment for giving birth, plus 2 more parents after birth, 2 more payments after birth. So once you've given birth in France, they give you money, and then you get 2 other payments. In Sweden, you get 69 weeks of maternity leave at SEK 250 to SEK $1,116 per day. So I guess it has to do with your employment, your daily wages, your income rate. You get between 250 SEK to 1,116 SEK per day in Sweden with 69 weeks of leave. In Guyana, what you get? 6 weeks of maternity leave, I think. And you get hell to get your maternity benefits. I know up to now, I read a few weeks ago, a teacher complained of going on maternity leave. The Ministry of Education took her off of the payroll. And she has been back on the job for about 3 months now and still has not been replaced on the payroll. And you can blame the teacher for not being able to provide for herself and family. And you're going to say because she had no right making children because she poor. Government policy. In a society where when you start a job, and this is a Guyanese society I'm talking about, you're a young man, a young woman, you go and you seek employment with a public service. They employ you and they tell you that you got to eat the bread that the devil need for 3 months. Because they will not pay you a blind cent for 3 months if you're lucky. So you look for employment because you need an income. And the people who employ you say, we will not give you any income for the next 3 months. And in some instances, it goes on to 6 months. And when Tabitha Sarbo Hali was Minister of Public Service, and we sat and we devised the way and we said this nonsense must stop. And she wrote a policy on it. And people were coming into the public service and get paid from month one. The PPP go and they go back to the same nonsense. And you are blaming people for being poor and cursing people because they're making children. Then the problem really is with government policies. I'm telling you what countries pay their people for making children. In Bulgaria, 58.6 weeks of maternity leave at 90% of your pay. In the UK, you get 52 weeks of maternity leave. There's a whole year. Bulgaria is more than a year. In the UK, it's 52 weeks of maternity leave at 90% of your pay. In Canada, you get 50 weeks, almost a year, of maternity leave at 55% of your pay. And we like to talk about Canada, how progressive they are. We like to talk about the UK, right? A lot of people don't talk about Sweden and Bulgaria and those places. But Canada and the UK, for example, everybody wants to go to Canada and everybody wants to go to the UK because they're progressive, they're doing well. Look at policies that they got. In the UK, you get a whole year with leave at 90% of your pay. In Canada, you get 2 weeks short, 2 weeks shy of a year. Right? In North Korea, they have called for women to have more children, saying it's their duty to prevent the country's birth rate from dropping. According to Wikipedia, North Korea has no birth control policies, and parents are encouraged to have up to 6 children. But in Guyana, we cussing with people for getting 7. Since I was a little boy, a grano, I hear in Guyana get 750,000 people. They're moving. 750,000 persons. Are we not encouraging people to make children? We don't have policies in place for people to make children. Why then do you think that we don't have enough human resource to really capitalize on this oil well that is here? Huh? And you're cussing the people? I got to cuss the government and get rid of them. It's 27 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. I can continue to talk on this particular issue forever and ever because it is dear to my heart. Voice note though.
A very blessed good morning to you, Mr. Kadaki, and those who are in and out of the diaspora. God bless your program. Mr. Kadaki, you see why I always say that you're a blessing is because listen to your topic, for example. You are right on the spot. You're right on the dot. You're right on the bullseye. That is exactly what is happening. The word of God, my fellow Guyanese, and Mr. Kadaki, the word of God said this. Children are a blessing from God. I repeat, children are a blessing from God. And they are a fruit of the womb. They are a fruit of the womb. Because that is where life is. Life comes from God. Our life comes from God. He is the only giver of life. And children are a blessing of God. You see your topic, you hear your topic, and you're, as I said before, you're right there. It is a blessed topic. When children are not being trained up the right way, they didn't get the opportunity, that's how they can go astray. But not that they are a curse, or they are blight, or there's what people may turn to be negative. It's when they're being led astray by those who are supposed to be there to help guide them and train them up the right way. The government is supposed to be putting things in place to help families, to build nuclear families, to help that the family can stand, an extended family can develop, and a good family would give you a good community, would give you a good country. But when a government is fighting down, even the teachers, them who teaching the student, how would the train them get for learn? When a government not put anything in place to help parents, nuclear family, how would they get to develop? When a government is taking out to exploit, how to keep people in poverty and family to poverty, divide and rule. They're breaking up the walls. God seen looking for those who could build back the walls of family, not break them down. This government, especially the PP government, is not putting things in place that can build family. Mustn't build a nation. If a family is not being built, a nation can't build. If the school is not being built, the nation can't develop properly. And that's where the breaking down is coming from. Mr. Kadaki, what you say, even the French country, they help all their citizens. Just as America, all the world powers help their citizens. And they help the parent, their family. The family agenda is very, very essential. And that's why even though they try to push the LGBTQ, or we call them, they try to push them into countries to help tear down countries, everybody want. But when you raise a family in according to godly principle, in the righteousness of God's word, and that direction, that family will always bring a good community and a good country, and that country will be blessed. And that's where the problems are coming in from. Look, Guyana and France and Paris, and for example, they are mother country. France is the mother country. And look what they present to all of their citizens. The more trained them people get, the more rich they get, because they get paid for all the children. Even when a woman barely big, before she get baby, over 900 something was the last money they were given. They ain't actually baby father nothing. But they were given a type in 900 before they even bring forth. A lot every 7 something months, they're given that. And they sell by baby thing. They can't make a father if you're rich, if you're wealthy. And that's how government put things in place to look after. When you get to work, you send in a start, and the government will repay you until you get a job. You repeat back to them, report back to them, and look, you're working and they cut it off. They help you on a monthly type in. This government and Guyanese talking and set of stupidness to women them who got this children and that children and that children. How you want the Guyanese nation to develop if the government help to build families? Instead, you are coercing the women them who got 10 and 15 children. I mean, they shouldn't got so much yes or what, but if there's a blessing of God, so be it. Most enjoyable all come from them. It's the government that is doing that. They're trying to keep people in poverty, and then the Guyanese nation are condemning people. Where you make all them training for, where you make this, where all the population in Guyana can grow. How will it develop? One with all the oil money. God bless this nation, Mr. Kadaki. We're going to get there, but your topic is right, my brother. You are a blessing. They are destroying the children. They are destroying the family. And now they are attacking the teachers. And why train them to put up so they can control the children and the family. This is where these things are lacking. That's why domestic murder and violence, all these things, and they're going to increase. However, Guyanese, we're going to get there. Thank God for moving the scale and the veil of the eyes of the Guyanese nation and people around the world. Thank God Almighty. I continue to give God praise and thanks. He deserves it.
Let me talk. I see Mike asking the question, where's the GDP of those countries? It's questions like these that make I want to call people by their full name, their government name, jackasses. Because it's government they're working for. Jackasses. And then called Twilight, I could rock back. Call all the line. Mike is asking what's the GDP of these countries. Mike, I don't even care what the GDP is. You know why? Ask Irfan Ali, ask Jadio, ask Priya Manichan, ask Nandalal and all your crooks and criminal friends in the PPP, and they will tell you Guyana is touted as the fastest growing economy of the world. And so why do I need to go compare the GDP of Canada and the UK and the US and so on? Guyana is the fastest growing economy of the world. What does that tell you? Idiot, get your act together. Somebody out pin the tail on the jackass me. Call it live.
Morning, Kadaki. These are was an establishment of a partnership for me. One child and no child. That's what you mean. Here's a fella that walked into the place. And the fella walking in the place, and the fella had tears in his eyes after we greeted him. I was like, why the fella is crying? He said, that man just lost his one child, which is 30-something years old. He said, one child and no child. This way he learned his grandparents, he always make children. Anyhow, we talk about something in growing. The population ain't growing, but the voters list growing though. How come? To the maths say math in there. The voters list growing and the population ain't growing. I would like for you one to touch on Ibrahim's his allies like Mali and Mali and Niger, the same things that they are doing. The military leaders got to power the same way he got to power before. And one of the wisest things that Ibrahim did, and before I get there, he took after his boss, as I will say, even though he was a baby when Thomas Sankara he was a baby, he should have been, yes. When Thomas Sankara was murdered by France because of his policy that he was putting in place. Remember when he took away Mercedes and gave them ladder? He reduced the prices of the salaries of all the big fancy heavy paying public servants, and what he was doing, he was on the same road of what this boy is doing. This boy is doing exactly what his predecessor did. Right? He's doing exactly what his predecessor did. But I would like for you to touch one day on Mali and Niger, let people understand what is catching on. Right? The next thing he did was he went and took all his top army officials and police officials to Rwanda. Why? Is to see how the military was able to pull back everything and put civil society on a proper scale because of the crime that was going on over there after the genocide and how they did that so quickly. And some of his people over there understudying the Rwandan army and the police, especially the police, because of put things properly in place and to bring back law and order in place. So, it's something that we should be tonguing into our people's brain. The two of us talk about the issue. You want me to talk about it today or tomorrow? Tomorrow, no, I got a heavy day, but this thing is rapidly increasing. This thing is making some waves, and these people are getting ready. It's close time for these people to teach that thing we talk about.
Get to the issue.
You want me to? Huh?
Get to the issue.
Okay, good. People, let me get to this issue. Good. Port Ranching School, which is a school that was started in the 60s by the British. It was the apprentice training center, which they did bring out tradesmen, especially for the industry. I, being alumni of that school, I was blessed to attend that school. We have a Rolls-Royce Ghost, which this year is going to be 100 years for that car. All right? And it was refurbished. It was a gift given to school, and it was refurbished by the students back in the 60s to pristine condition. When that car starts, it just poof, a little bit of air out, exhaust smoke out, and it drives like a cheese, like ice and water. Anyhow, the government said that they're going to move the car from there and keep it at the president's state house because ExxonMobil is getting ready to do some work at school. And we, the students, are objecting to that. If they were getting ready to do any work here, why is it that the cannon, which is the next antique from Skeldon Estate, is being moved also from Skeldon Estate? Right? ExxonMobil is getting ready to do work too up here. The other place this car could store, the rightful place for this car right now is to stay in that school. And we, the students, are objecting to it. The value of this car starts between $500,000 if you take that at auction, and could go way up to $1 million and more. There's just a few of those cars. People might say it's just a car. It's just a car, but it's an antique car. That brought pride and joy to us, and we have kept that car till to this day in pristine condition. If family put hand on that car, you know what's going to happen? That's going to generate generational wealth for that family. If that car ends up in Saudi Arabia, someone from ExxonMobil see that car and say, look, I want this car, but I'm going to give you people something. It's gone. That is wealth. The The rightful place for that car is at school. If the school goes down, the rightful place is in the museum. It's a national treasure. A lot of people don't know about this car. And Kadaki, I would love if you could show a photograph of this car. This is important and it's a serious thing to us alumni. It's making leave throughout the entire world. We're their alumni. And we are mad about it, and we want to build awareness about this. The pilfering that is about to take part, the teaching is about to take part. It's with this car, it's not just a car. It's a treasure for us. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Let's address Jackass Mike. There's a photograph on the screen. But let me tell you, you know what's the value of antique? That's an 100-year-old Rolls Royce. It is only one of 2 in the world. It is only one of 2. Can you imagine the value of that? Just as how the PPP almost stole Red House, you don't expect that you want to steal this treasure? Call it live.
Yes, good morning to you. Good morning to you and all my black brothers and sisters. Happy Monday. I am glad for that video. It answering what Flash God is saying all these months and years on your program. Abinati is not the answer. The people, them young, especially young people, got to make up their mind and represent the word sacrifice and come outside there to get things done. We got to stop calling upon opportunity leader. Look at those protests there. It's young people. Because they see program. They see progress. Why you want to remove him? You know, Bonham started, but Desmond Prasad and Guja Prasad, they did not fulfill and carry on Bonham. They want to make their own foundation. Bonham stand up in Parliament and said, they say, the Guyana government will stop import saltfish. It is a ban import saltfish from Canada. So the Jagan stand up and said, no, skip that is wrong. The people could fire for 2 saltfish. We make 2 roti and boiled rice and go cake. He said, thank God for that. But look on the other side. When we keep on import saltfish from Canada, look how many jobs we provide for the Canadians. And if we have our own fish here, fresh fish, and we could salt it, look how many jobs we provide for our own citizens. But Desmond Prasad did not build on that. And Guja Prasad. Look how many people there protesting. Young people, my brother and sister, is young people. It's not our grandmother and our grandfather mostly. Why we cannot go outside there and just say that. I see a video yesterday of Mackenzie. One young black man come out with gun already, one with cutlass for fight and kill each other. Now we all want better men that killing at your own and fight by your own. It's all about reason. Come out and say, look man, I make a mistake, I'm going to pay back for your bike and everything. That is reasoning. I say for your strength to fight the wicked government. Don't kill each other. That is nonsense. They call it when I've been all the time. When you call a man a focus on young people to destroy their life and they're not come to the understanding what the man trying to do. He go and bring a singer. Look how many black people there. They call Abinadi for lead them there. Last year they must celebrate American business. But Black Friday, they don't even know the meaning of Black Friday. And thousands black people let them out with the clock. Did they call Abinadi for lead them there at courts? We got to stop this nonsense and use our what? Knowledge. Stop, give up our identity and dignity and talk nonsense. You have to come together. Come together. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your call. Flash God mentioned something there. And that is the Black Friday sale. I remember last month, Call all the line. Courts had a mattress sale. I want to see if I can find it. Courts had a mattress sale in Eccles. And so many persons turned out. To that sale, that traffic congestion was pure madness. It was pure madness. And I said to a friend of mine, that's a clear sign of how poor people are in this country. It's a sign of how poor people are in this country. Because when you look at what people were going through just to buy a mattress, I'm showing you the video right now. Look at it. Call all the line. Bear strain this here.
Anyone? Okay. Do the thing again.
What's that video there? That is only a snippet of what people had to put themselves through to get a mattress, of course, because it was a mattress sale. As I sit here and I think, a semi-decent mattress in this country is going to cost you about $50,000. Semi-decent. That is half of a teacher's salary, drawing $98,000 a month. Imagine if you got 4 children and your desire is for each of them to be on their own bed. You're talking about 2 months salary gone, whoops. Assuming you even got a 4-room home to put 4 beds in. So I said to my friend, I said, you see that there? There's a good example of how poor we are in this country. If you were to go to courts, you might find you see mattresses for $200,000, decent mattresses for $200,000. How many months must someone work at $98,000 to make $200,000 to buy just the mattress? In the US, $200,000 is $200,000 Guyana dollars, 1,000 US. Can you work and afford to buy a mattress for $1,000 US? I'm sure it is possible. Call your life.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam, and good morning, everyone in the Guyanese diaspora. Good morning, all Guyanese. On the issue of protest, you just mentioned about courts, and the people are coming out into the street. You said a road jam, and it raises something else. Why are people so more enthusiastic about a mattress than they are about poor governance in Guyana? I mean, that's another point you raised, that people are coming out in numbers to block the traffic, or ends up blocking the traffic. And I'm saying to myself, wow, surely we could use that kind of numbers for protests in Guyana. And surely the opposition, whether it's Amanza, whether it's Manish Gaipal, whether it's Aubrey Norton, whether it's Comrade Granger or Roysdale Ford, surely they have to be saying to themselves that they need the numbers or the participation of the people. Why are the people participating more around a mattress than they are in front of GCOM? When GCOM, if done properly in protest, can do more for change in Guyana with regards to poverty than courts could ever do for the people. Why aren't the people made to see that? And that's something that's been lost in the opposition. That the issues, the catalyst issues, the issues which excite and effect real substantive change in the life and the governance aren't being put to the people in a way that the people could identify with it. How come his court is identifying more with the people than the opposition party? That's the issue for Comrade Norton. That's the issue for Granger. That's the issue for Amanza. That's the issue for Roysdale Ford. So while we support the PNC, and we like to support the best candidates, yes, we also have to look at something else. Does the PNC has a policy against protest that Roysdale is not talking about, that Comrade North is not talking about? Mind you, now we support you in the PNC, but we can't support foolhardiness. We can't be blind followers. We need to get to the point whereby we could question the PNC and still vote for the PNC and APNU. So I'm wondering, because you see, Roysdale Ford is juxtaposing or comparing that, well, he would go for protest. What kind of protest would Roysdale Ford go for? You see, the same things Roysdale Ford is saying today is the same things Comrade Norton said when he was not the leader. Hello? You recall? So Roysdale Ford could say anything. He could say he'll do a 1 million man march in Guyana. You could say that he's not the leader. Right? Comrade Norton said similar types of things, which when he came in office, he's not doing. Granger campaigned as a brigadier. When he got time to come out of office, he did not behave like a brigadier. So while we support party, are we going to support the fact that people could tell us just about anything just to get in the seat, and then when they get in the seat, Roysdale Ford or Amanza could change their voice? What kind of protest would Amanza do? Because obviously we need protest. I don't know, I just read Dr. Hines' editorial page. Comrade Norton is saying he doesn't want protest. Well, how could you not want protest, Comrade Norton? And I'm saying to Roysdale Ford, maybe you are just saying that you are for protest. Like Comrade Norton used to say, he was for protest. See, everybody's saying what they want to say when they're not in the seat. Now, when you get into the seat, well, too bad for you voters. You got to take what you get. Exactly what we're getting now. Non-responsive leadership. Take what you get. We don't get your vote, and you can't tell me nothing. So we don't want to get caught up in that kind of position as voters. I just want to bring us to that point. So we need to be able to ask, does the PNC has a policy which is against certain types of protest? Because when I'm looking, because obviously you see in New York or around the United States or around the world, that protest is definitely effective. Dr. Hines is for protest. Protest is definitely an effective tool. When you've got the government being nullified, the Constitution being nullified, all these things are happening. The court, which is the final access for us to go and seek redress, that is being downsized, nullified, and weaponized against the people. So what other recourse do we have? You see what I'm saying? All doors are being closed on the people. So what other redress than we have other than protest. And the only obvious redress which we have, leaders are saying they want to be the leader, but they don't want to protest. So then we need to ask the PNC, what sort of policy do they have on protest and the types of protests? Obviously, the GYSM is not being mobilized. How come? So there is something there that is prohibiting protest. Now, we don't want to get down the road because that's where we're going. And no one has raised the topic sufficiently. So we need to ask Comrade Amanza, Mr. Roysdale Ford, and Comrade Norton. Can they specifically say something about protest more publicly? And for us, there should be an open platform whereby we should be able to ask them, unless we willing to just give them our votes blindly. Where does the PNC stand on reparations? They need to start talking now, because the leader of the PNC will be the president. And I need to know, or we need to know, where does the leader stand on reparations? Where does the leadership stand on ancestral lands in Guyana? Don't let them duck out on these issues. Don't let them escape on these issues. Once again, thank you for accepting my call.
Thank you for calling. You know, as Coffee talked there, I remember seeing a TikTok video. I'm trying to convert it to... Why am I even trying to convert it? I should be able to find it as an image. Right? Anyhow, I was saying I'm trying to convert it to an image for you. I saw a TikTok video with a sheep, with a wolf-selling sheep. Vote for me and I will become a vegetarian. Vote for me and I will become a vegetarian. And why am I referring to that? Coffee is saying that Roysdale Ford is saying that he is to protest now. Or something to the extent. When I saw that video yesterday, last evening I think I saw it. I said to myself, this is a good description of politicians. They will tell you anything to get your vote. And it's also a good description of Guyanese. They would listen to anything and give up the vote. I mean, if I look at the photograph, it might suggest that both of these things got wool, right? They look like they got the same exterior. Not totally true. Good. But we have listened in this society to our politicians telling us all manner of things when we know, or at least I assume we would know to the bottom of our heart that impossible. Right? Roysdale is saying, or Roysdale might say he's for protest because his opponent Aubrey is not for protest, but that doesn't mean Roysdale organizing any protest. Understand that? When Ban hustling girl, what the other one in telling shit is what you want, we're in competition and tell shit. Let me put it away. And so people come and they make all kinds of promises to you, but at the end of the day, they know within their hearts, they're not likely to keep those promises. It is for the people to recognize that they're trying to play them for fools. Right? And this is not me taking side. This is me analyzing what politicians come and tell people. Aubrey is not for, it is said that Aubrey is not for protest. It is interpreted that Aubrey is not for protest. Roysdale Ford is in the same PPP party. Earlier, Roysdale Ford was saying he is not for protest, and he has changed that now. Let us ask him to put his money where his mouth is. Let him organize a protest and show us. That will also put his leadership skill on display, and he will prove to us that he can do better than Aubrey is doing right now. Call your life.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Ducky, and to everybody for this listening. Anyway, you talk so many things, but the thing you spoke on the family, you know. People got a lot of things, and you're right to talk about the man who said, but the woman had so much to get 7 children. You know, in the olden days, a lot of people had many children. And when those children all grew up, the children that from a multi-children home, when they get up, they all in that home, they're trying to get to the top. You get a lot of children coming out top of the game, doing this, doing that. And when those children now end up into positions that also into leadership qualities, going into the leadership qualities, many of them, because they grew up in a home with many children, they got a softer heart and a mindset to the people surrounding them who they may now be over. Hence, they would look for better qualities of work for them and proper numeration. Against those who grow up as a single child in a home where everything was theirs and theirs alone, because they had no other person to share it with. Now, when those type of people end up in positions where they got to like look over other people to see they get proper salaries and conditions and such work, they don't look for that, because you know what? Once they are getting it and their family could benefit from all the fringe benefits, they have no place in their heart to see anybody out there getting to their point, because you know why? They grew up in a selfish home, them being alone. And many people long ago had a lot of children. And many people now, when they grow up now, me want the type of life for me children, like get 1 or 2 and so. I was the mother of 6, I end up with 4. I had a big cousin who had 1. And when the one died, she said, 1 from 1 leave scratches. And to go to my subconscious, I wanted more than that. Now this new leader that everybody's talking about in Africa, not only show what he's doing for the Africans, when the out and heaven forbid, God forbid, you know what they're going to do with him? He may be another Muammar Gaddafi. And when the outer world see the qualities that he is looking for his countrymen, who is over now, to equate them, to bring them up, somebody they might get 1 from the same set who may look to kill him. And I pray that does not matter. That is what happens. We know that. Now coming back to our crisis in Guyana, with protests, I am not against those other people who want to be leader of APNU. But I want them to come out, as you rightly said. Royce, therefore, got to bring out his people in protest. I see they don't listen, because the faction who now protesting are some people who braving it from the Northern Camp. We are all APNU, but the Northern Camp going out there. A man as well wants to lead. And there is where they should show their leadership qualities and get their followers who are putting them up for the leadership of the party, because in their eyes, Norton is not doing nothing. Let them bring out their factions and meet up and let me see what's going on. But all we're hearing is everybody pulling down this body, pulling down the body. And the faithful 8-9, one of our soldiers came out on the 1st of May. That individual is not a public servant. The individual said, look, you know what? Let I go and help rally for the cause of better wages and salaries for my brothers and sisters in the
the public service, not the public servant. She ended up breaking her foot. Right now, she's in cast. She used to be out there. She used to make it the faithful 13. Now it's gone to the faithful 12. And I hope the man who called in last week and said he alone would go out and protest are looking for you. I know all the faces who does go there. And once I see a strange face out there in the form of a man, that person will be you. So come on down to GCOM because I'll be going there. My fellow protester. We are there, we are protesting. Last week, Kadaki, what time is the funeral? Is it going to be in Buxton?
Yes, the body leaves Jerick's funeral home, I think around 12:30, and goes to the Friendship Methodist Church for 2 o'clock.
Now, I love hellos. That once you go into there, when I meet them, I won't find the funeral because I don't really know. There's no Buxton now. But I want to come to the funeral, man.
Well, have a good day.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
I see people making comments like, I don't have much more time. I have to wrap up. People are making comments like the people went there to courts to get mattresses. They got the priorities mixed up. You know how important a night's rest is? You know that we still got people in this society living on, I don't think they got crocus bag now, but they're living on some tin sponge. You know they got people still sleeping on old beddings. Yeah? I just talked about how many persons have to live because of government's land development policy and land distribution policy and so on. Do you believe when 14 people live in one home, a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom home, do you believe each and every one of them could get their own bed? Can you imagine how they got to push things aside in the night furniture to drop down a bunch of bag or a piece of cloth to rest on? Somebody said it's not the rich people or the people with money you see out there for mattress. And that is the point I'm making. The people you see out there for mattress are poor people. It's a demonstration of how poor we are in this damn country. That ordinarily you can't walk into a store like Courts and buy a mattress on which you can comfortably rest. You gotta wait till it gets sale and rush down like in a stampede. That's the reality. Don't let's judge people and talk about them having their priorities mixed up. They got their priorities right. Every human being wants a comfortable night's rest. Are the policies in the country permitting that for them? Are they having access to that? No. I went to Success the other day. You saw me in that woman's house. At least you saw the camera went there. Let me tell you, I'm not an intrusive person. But she invited me to tell her story and I went. You notice I stayed just at the door. I couldn't bring myself to go further. And she's employed. She's employed. She was wearing a uniform, a jersey with one. I can't remember where she works. I will look for that video so you will know where she works. She is a public servant. And look at the state of poverty that she lives in. Man, I tell you, even if the weather didn't destroy her home, her home was no home. It was makeshift. And she's a public servant. Did she want better? Obviously, she wanted better. That's why she was fighting for a plot of land. That is why she found her $250,000 or $500,000 to pay the government for a plot of land. But now that she has found that money to pay the government for a plot of land, ask yourself how long it will take her to find money to construct herself and family a better home. And we're living in this society that is described as the fastest growing economy in the world. Put in your pipe and smoke it. Y'all have a great day. I would have loved to spend more time with you to talk about these things, but I have to go because I have other commitments. Right? But that photograph, let me show you this photograph again.
This is a photograph of the Rolls Royce, right? And Joel McRae is telling us that the number plate on that photograph, on that car, he made it. Joel McRae is saying he made it. And he is proud of his input in the restoration of this vehicle. And he would like to know that it stays there or it is displayed in the museum, not on the lawns of the presidential, whatever they call it. Right? Can you imagine Guyanese will not have any access? And you know, again, we talk about quality of government. You can walk into the museum now and you can see the car. I think it was a Wolseley or a Morris Oxford or something that Forbes Bonham used. It's on display there. So why this piece of artifact must find itself on State House and not in a museum where every Guyanese has a chance to see it? Y'all talk to me. Why not? I'll have a good day, man. I gotta go. Love you. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Join me at about maybe 12 o'clock. I'll be bringing the funeral service for the late Lillian Booker, who is the mother of Dennis Booker. I'll be tracking the funeral from the parlor, that's Jerrick's, to Buxton at the Methodist Church, and so on and so forth. And so forth. One love, peace, stay strong till we meet again, and that will be soon. Have a good one. Love you. Bye-bye.